you weren't always so successful at balancing family and work, I'm sure. At what point did you decide things had to change?
Well, when I became a parent, I realized, wow, and I had been a professional project planner for years before that, and I realized that being a parent is the most challenging project of all. And I had kind of put those professional project planning principles I had learned in the back burner. And when I realized, wait a minute, maybe I can try that in my personal life, for my family, when I started using those project planning principles in my family, that everything changed. Because, as you know, we're busy juggling so many different things, and using tools like Office 365 Home Premium and putting the plan together, it actually helped me, so I had more time to do what I needed to do.
Well, that leads me to the next question. When you are planning things, do you write or digitally jot down everything?
Yeah, there's a couple different things I do. The first part of planning, I say, is to sit down with your family and figure out what everyone's requirements are. And that's nice because, you're actually talking and communicating with your family. And the second piece is really where I love having Office 365 Home Premium, is because, for example, when it comes to notes, I use OneNote, and that's a digital note-taking app, and I can put everything there. It's like my second brain: menus, carpool schedules, even a shopping list. So my husband's at the store, and then he can pick up whatever he needs to pick up I don't even need to talk to him. So OneNote's a great tool, and the other one is managing the chaos of the family calendar. And I use Outlook to do that, and that is a really important tool.
Okay, great, thank you. In your book that you have, My Parent Plan, you mentioned that term parent plan very often. In some way, do you use it interchangeably with setting goals? Do you use that term interchangeably with that?
Yeah, it's really, setting goals is a very important part of planning. And I think that when you take a step back, planning really means basically looking ahead and really figuring out what you need to plan for in your family. And goals are really important for that, because maybe let's say your child has a goal of learning karate. If you put a plan together, he or she can start taking karate classes, and they can reach their goals if they want to be a yellow belt or a purple belt. So the planning process and having your goals really go hand in hand.
And how did adding in a secular element change things?
In what way?
In the sense that first you were focusing on just raising your children, but now you've had a whole other career take off. How has that affected your views on balancing the family and work?
Well, I think I'm along with heading on the road of the breadwinner moms. This Pew Research study that came out now, women are primary or sole breadwinners of 40% of the households. So a lot of women are going back to work. And the way that's really impacted my life is that I needed to plan more than ever. And also with my career, I think parents need to plan for their own careers. And putting that plan together, even in Outlook and taking my notes in OneNote, helped me actually reach some of my goals. One of them was running a book, and I use Microsoft Word to help me with that. So all these tools really can help you reach your goals.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Another question is, now you said you had a background with project management, and overall most don't have that background. So it can be overwhelming to look at everything and try to tackle and simultaneously keep on top of plans for communication, health, education, recreation. If someone just says to you, where do I start? You had mentioned about just sitting down, but after that, what's one way that they can just know that it's doable? What's the first thing you say that they should do?
Well, sitting down, as you say, is the first step, but it needs to be at a time where it's not the craziest time. It's a time where it's a little bit calmer. You can plan ahead for things and taking notes, as I mentioned I do in OneNote. And then breaking things down to small tasks. I think you get overwhelmed if you look at all the things you need to do, right? You say, oh, wow, how am I going to do that all?
Definitely.
But the cool thing about planning is basically putting your plan down and then breaking up everything into smaller tasks and doing one task at a time. That's what I say. I almost compare it to little buckets. Put things in little buckets and then take a bucket at a time. And that way you don't get overwhelmed. At the same time, you have the bigger plan in mind, right? So you've actually thought about that. So you're still moving ahead with your plan, but you're really only looking at the smaller tasks at a time because it is overwhelming. It's overwhelming getting through a whole day. Being a parent, right?
Oh, yes. I always tell my husband, he'll encourage me, just write to-do lists. And I think, well, then I have to remember to write down what to do in my to-do list.
Yeah, I say OneNote's like my second brain. I make sure it's on OneNote, and then I just go out and live my life, and I check it regularly. But if I don't put it down, I don't remember to do it.
Okay. Well, you're giving a lot of advice to other parents, but what was the single best piece of advice you got, especially to keep you going when things got tough?
Well, I think the biggest piece of advice was once you put your plan together is then living in the moment. I realized I was just constantly trying to keep up with my life, and I wasn't really enjoying my kids, like enjoying the moments because it goes by so fast. So the biggest thing that I really did for myself was, okay, I'm going to put my plan together, and then I'm going to actually enjoy, the time that I'm planning for to be with my family. I'm going to put all my technology away and enjoy them. And I think that's the biggest gift I've given myself is being able to manage my work schedule, but then also have time with my family.
That's a great piece of advice because I think a lot have to deal with that.
Yeah. Cool.
That was most of my questions. You went really quickly through those.
Cool, yeah. And, and also chores. I don't know if we talked about chores, if you have your family helping with chores, but I have my chores on Excel, and the kids check off when they're done, and they feel really good about that, the follow-through.
Do you think that one of the biggest things to help you was involving your family in everything?
Yes, I think it's so important. And in my book, I talk about buy-in. Your family has to buy in. There's some things, well, obviously you need to do, but there's also the buy-in factor. So coming together as a family and communicating and people expressing what they want helps a lot. And getting some buy-in will mean that you can work together as a family. Maybe example of this is your kids can pick what chores they do. So you're not saying, do this. You're saying, you need to do a chore. So why don't you tell me which chore you want to do?
That's something that's been helping us recently. We would always tell our daughter to do the dishwasher and put everything away, but we just recently found out that she actually prefers washing the other things, so we switched chores.
Yeah, and see, that helps you because your daughter's still participating in chores, but she's doing something that she wanted to do, so I call that buy-in. So, and the same with exercise. I've been telling my kids everyone has to exercise forever, but I realized I was kind of somewhat forcing them into what I like to do when I realized, hey, why don't you tell me how you like to exercise and what sports you like to do? That really changed. Then they were actually buying in and picking sports they love to do.
And what obstacles did you face in setting, I know you had mentioned about being flexible, but what were some of the biggest obstacles for you?
I think one of the biggest obstacles is that you can plan, you could put the perfect plan together, but as a parent, things change all the time. And the biggest obstacle is the fact that you have to be open to that things will be changing by the moment. And sometimes I just take a deep breath and I say, okay, I need to make a new plan now. So, and having a little sense of humor helps too.
Okay. And when people are dealing with this, do you ever suggest that, for example, if a mom is just dealing with so much, have you ever suggested that maybe you should put certain things on the back burner, such as if they need to or if they want to put a career on the back burner so that they can focus on other things? Would you suggest that, or would you suggest, again, to just focus on little things and try to reach all the goals at the same time?
Well, I think it's hard, to do everything at the same time, but maybe looking long term. Maybe if at that moment they're not able to work, they could still be doing things to further their career. So they're doing career building skills. So when they are ready to work, they've had some career experience, they've taken classes, they have the resume up to date, they have a blog, they've started to network. So things like that can really make a difference. So I say always be thinking ahead to what you'll be doing in the future, but be able to live to now. And if you need, obviously if you need to take a break and work on your family, then it's important to do that. I also, what really helps me a lot is having all of my documents in the cloud, because it helps me keep things together. I use SkyDrive and Office web apps, so I have access to everything I need. And that's just something that's really helped me stay organized no matter where I am.
Great. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Thank you. It's great to talk to you.
Likewise. We'll chat again another time.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.